So as far as I know, we're all good with the audio. Now, I was on looking up the job search thing about see what chatgpt would have to say. Put some lighting on here. And the question was about checking up, about looking for work, looking for jobs, okay? And the description for what to do, okay? And then the next question was, feel free to modify any of this, obviously, about researching and looking for jobs, looking for work. So it's not about me looking for work, it's about explaining myself to somebody else. That's what this is all about. And I had to ask this question because it's really driving me mad about the way things actually are, the reality of what's going on, and when you're trying to find work yourself, or you're trying to do something, or you're working on something, or whatever it may be in your personal life or whatever. Okay, so it's not about you, it's about the other person and their view, and it's not about them, and it's about the other person, and it's not about them, it's about the other, and so it just goes round and until the endless spiral of life and feelings and how other people look at things. So I asked the question, I was wondering what an actual job search would look like in a dystopian society. If anybody knows what a dystopian society is, it's the opposite of utopia, and a dystopian would be an imperfect society, a society that's upside down and completely wrong in any of its ways of managing anything. Okay, and in my eyes, that's how I see things. You can decide for yourself what way you see things. Okay, some people have a positive view, some people the glass is half full, the glass is half empty, it's just a glass of water, whatever way you see it. So a job search in a dystopian society. Now you couldn't ask anybody else. GPT, or AI, or whatever you want to call it, the technology, language-based models, or they are the experts. You can argue both sides of this argument, but when it comes down to people looking for information, they go to Google or Gemini now, or ChatGPT or Alexa or whatever, because all that information can be accessed instantly. Like if you needed the information like now, it has it. So, and it would be disputable information because that's what people do, but you can't deny that it's professional or expert information, knowledgeable information that is relevant but also could be irrelevant when it comes to policy, understanding, regulation, management, whatever it may be. It gives you a reference point or a structure to work from, like an infrastructure, okay, which we work off. So a job search in a dystopian society could be radically different from today's process, with elements of control, yeah, this is where we're going, fear and survival woven into the experience, right? So referring to money, financial gains, financial losses, whatever, financial spending, that's where all that comes from. So it comes from control, the person paying you, fear of losing your job, and survival of putting food on the table, woven into the experience. Okay, now you can think of it whatever way you want. I'm just putting this out here as a video, and I couldn't care less either. Nobody cares, nobody wants to know, and this is the way it goes. Okay, I'm getting the information directly from the expert, the knowledge, the ChatGPT, the Alexa, whatever you want to call it. You go on and you ask the same questions. Okay, this is what you're going to get. Language-based models. Here's an imaginative take on what it might look like. Dystopian job search overview. Survival over choice. So, do you ever feel like at that point where it's like you either work or you starve? You know, you don't have a roof over your head, because you don't work. Is that what this is? Is that what the society we're living in? You make that decision. So I'll just read it out what all's here, okay? In a dystopian society, job seekers might have little to no choice in what positions they apply for. Employment could be dictated by central authority or ruling regime. Central authority or ruling regime. Workers may be assigned roles based on government quotas, social class, or even genetic predisposition. So obviously if you've got I'm not saying it in any shape or form, looking down on anybody or anything to get there. And even when I say that, it sounds bad. But people, not everyone's born with the same physicalities. Okay? The concept of a career would be a luxury. And a job search might resemble more of a desperate scramble to prove your usefulness to the system in order to avoid punishment or worse. Now, it just keeps saying that, worse, okay? Brutal competition. Opportunities could be scarce, leading to fierce competition. Instead of traditional interviews, job candidates might undergo physical, mental, or even moral tests designed to weed out the weak or non-compliant. I don't. This is what it says. A survival of the fittest mentality and could dominate where failure to secure a position might result in severe consequences such as exile, forced labour, or worse. Corruption and favouritism could be rampant, with jobs often going to those with connections in the ruling elite. The ruling elite. I don't know. I couldn't write this stuff. Like, it's literally there in black and white. That's surveillance and control. This is the direction we're going. And I've been saying this here. Like, if you're a science fiction fan in any shape or form, and you like this stuff, you can see that it's going down the road of like OCP, RoboCop, Terminator, Skynet. Like, the Skynet actually exists. This is the hilarity of it. Like, these things that already exist. And with AI taking over, it's just going to replace the horse or the labour the same way as the tractor did. And then we're going to end up in this exact same position where we are in 50 years' time, but worse off. You're going to have the outcome's going to be Demolition Man movie outcome, because the spiral goes down when it comes to financial or money gains. We do not want to uphold others at a loss of our own gain. So it's like, we have to pay your taxes, so it costs us, and it's not that. The rich are living off the back of the taxes. Trump has said it don't know how many times that he wants to be taxed more. Like, and people are running around with losing their minds over the whole political system. Right. And then you've got China with the whole surveillance control thing. You've got cameras going up left, right and centre in the UK. You know, with the whole 15-minute city thing. So we'll carry on. I'll never get through this if I don't read this here now. Surveillance and control. Personal freedom might be heavily curtailed. Yeah, that's Demolition Man. The job search could be under constraint. Surveillance by state authorities or corporate overlords. With every move, word and even thought being monitored. Citizens may be ranked by their loyalty, obedience and productivity using a points or credit system. Now somebody tell me that you don't get a credit score when you're trying to get a job now. Those with low scores could be denied access to certain jobs or be sent to perform the most dangerous and undesirable tasks. You know, it's not a debate of being sent to the dangerous and undesirable tasks. It's you have to be desperate enough to get the money in the survival for the fittest, competition, compliant, moral tests, physical, mental, fierce competition, all that there what's been said here. So the next one is, don't worry, I've asked the other questions. We're going to get there. Tech-driven hiring. Advanced authoritarian AI systems, yeah, might be used to match people to jobs. We already have the AI randomly. I watched the interviews on YouTube. There's a guy that he drilled down on the AI systems to see what is actually going on with the artificial intelligence when they're doing the algorithms for the jobs applications, looking through them. And he found out that it's just picking out complete and utter random words. It's not even actually looking for any specific skills, talents, or abilities or whatever. It's just picking out random words like skills or house address or telephone number or whatever. It's just picking them out completely at random. It doesn't work. So, and instead of resumes and cover letters, biometric data, brainwave scans, and physical profiling might be collected and analysed. Job seekers could be forced to undergo invasive tests to ensure they meet the requirements, behavioural and ideological standards. Like, it hurts to read this, and it also hurts to think about it and realise that the spiral just always goes down. The ideological standards and required behavioural thing. Always go to work with a smile on your face. Always think positive. Put the uniform on and shut up. If that's not behavioural control, I don't know what is. Those who fail to conform to the expectations of the regime might be deemed unemployable. Oh, one would be one of them. Or worse, a threat to society. That's the next step. Like in the UK and stuff and all, we've already got political class making up as they go along. They'll say the positive parts out loud, and then they'll go in the back room and cause all the problems. Work as control. Once a person is employed, the workplace itself might serve as a method of control. Jobs could be structured to suppress individuality and creativity. I said about this here on my Twitch channel. Creativity, and all the people on Twitch are doing, like, there's a mountain of creativity on that channel, like, but they're not being utilized in the right way, if that makes sense. Individuality is a great thing, but collectivism is also like what the social class, the upper class does. They work together, they fund each other, they help their children progress better and stay within those and reinforce things, like it says here. So fostering conformity. Work might not only be grueling but also designed to reinforce the dystopian system's ideology, with workers subjected to constant propaganda. Like, someone tell me in the comments or whatever way that we do not get advertised to the at this point. I'm surprised we haven't actually got brainwave dream advertisements and marketing. That's what this is, like in Futurama. They beam it directly into your skull to get you to buy an iPhone or a friggin' Samsung or a car or whatever it may be these days. Like, just bombarded with propaganda, with marketing, with advertisement. YouTube is coming down with the advertisement. Like, and they're arguing the whole ad blocker thing in the first place. It's, as I say, it's just sore. Productivity could be tied directly to survival. Productivity could be directly tied to survival. I can't stress that enough. Like, the stupidity of people. And as I say, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about anybody else. It's everybody else is saying something else about something else. This system should change, and me sitting here complaining about it is not going to do anything. It's not going to change anything. Collectively, we need to realise that those that have the money that put us in these positions for survival are absolutely keeping us here and keeping it working this way because it benefits them, which we all know. I'm not saying anything that's magically different. Where failure to meet quotas or adhere to the system's demands results in punishment. You'll starve. Simple. So here we go. Black market jobs for those who resist or outcast by the official system. The official system. Oh yeah. The official system. An underground economy might emerge. In this shadow economy, people might find illegal or dangerous work, risking their lives to avoid government surveillance or exploitation. Living in the underground, like in Demolition Man, the movie. These jobs might include smuggling, hacking, into the regime systems, or working with the rebel groups trying to overthrow the oppressive government. Which we're going right down that path. Like, we're being led right down it. We're walking right down it. It's like the buffalo going off the cliff. The first few of them go off, and the rest of them just push the rest of us off. So, right. Next thing was I had to ask the question: is this related to our reality? Is the current infrastructure that we've got the reality? And give me cross references to the dystopian image that I just spoke out there. Okay, a job search in a society would be far more about survival and submission than personal ambition. Personal ambition, as I said on Twitch, all the guys on Twitch. Like, it's a great platform. We have it. It works. YouTube's a great platform. Discord's a great platform. Twitter's a great platform. They're all great for talking and collectively doing things and all, but they're not changing community basis, like the actual core central system that we live off. It's like, that's the internet. I'm on the internet. We're on the internet. This doesn't matter. Nobody wants. It's like, I just seen a YouTube video. Anytime you mention something, or I just seen a TikTok, or just seen people complaining. Okay. Ambition with every step fraught with danger, manipulation, and constant risk of losing one's freedom or life. Yeah. Communitively, we do not have communities. We have companies restricting the flow of resources, whether that be food, housing, clothing, baby food, toilet roll, whatever it may be. Yeah. Like record profits, like the likes of Tesco's, or what do you call the other places they say in America, Walmart and all. You know, we don't. It's I'm sure it's not great for people on the cashier system. They're sitting there beeping all day. They don't want to be doing that. Everybody has dreams. Everybody wants to do something. Farmers in particular, this is the one that really, really gets me. Like, where the food actually comes from. They are being absolutely purgerized because they can make the food. The policies are coming down on them hard. The regulations are coming down on them hard. The friggin' the companies curtail every single cent and penny and source and energy from the farmers. So they can't make the stuff or do what we like. This goes back to the start of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So anyway, the future of work in a dystopian world might be a mirror of societal collapse surrounding it, where one's career is not just a path to fulfillment, but a means of maintaining control over the population. So I says, right, can you match this up with the reality, like dystopia and our current reality? I says, can you counter this conversation with our current societal infrastructure, with cross referencing, like references in paperwork, to direct sources, for example, the elite and wealthy class structure that we have, because the money has to come from somewhere. They decide who's going to get paid, what banks and all, or whatever it may be. Then now they're going to be going into snooping into people's bank accounts and all, doing stuff like that there, spying on people, trying to find it, drilling down on people, keeping us in a position where it's always going to be you're the problem and they're not. Theories of the rich only being rich because money exists. That's the only way they can be rich. That's the only way that we're poor in the first place, because money exists. So, absolutely, let's compare the dystopian job search concept with the realities of our current societal infrastructure. We can counter some of the dystopian features with current economic and socio-political theories, particularly focusing on class structures, wealth inequality, and the role of money in perpetuating those divides. So the role of money in perpetuating those divides. First one the chatgpt came off with is choice versus lack of control. Our current reality in most democratic capitalist societies, there's a range of choice when it comes to employment. Job seekers can theoretically pursue careers based on their education, skills, and interests. However, choice is not universal. Not universal. Not universal. A lot of things go on in the world, as people know. And a lot of those things are not good when it comes to money. I'll give you one example that I've always complained about. It's poaching. Animal poaching. If you just completely remove the cost for an animal be deleted and then it carved up. Now, I'm not saying you don't go around fox hunting and doing whatever and culling animals, but I mean like ivory poaching, like not regulated stuff. Then they sell it on, yeah, which gives them money. Now, once that collapses, it's going to leave a void for something else. That's always what happens in our economic structure, or the financial structure, or the money. They once one thing goes down, something else takes its place that's worse, or finds a way around it and bypasses it, and then it ends up. So if you remove the whole financial structure of them poaching, then they have no way of making money. So they have to find something else to do, and that's what people do. Economic disparities and access to quality education mean that the wealthy have more access to better jobs, while those with lower socioeconomic backgrounds face more barriers. Community universities, community college, or whatever you call it in America. Over here in the UK we have an education system, but it's curtailed in its conformity, and it's just wear the uniform, shut up, get through the system, and you're going to be a worker, and that's the end of it. Because financially you're not going to be in any position to, if you're in a public school, you're not going to be, they call it community school, but community college, but in a public school over here. So, counter argument: the idea of choice in career is often constrained by systematic inequalities. For socialist, for instance, the socialist Pierre Bourdieu, I think, if that's, I'm probably butchering his name there, the theory of cultural capital posits with that the wealthy pass down not only financial wealth, but also knowledge and social networks that afford greater opportunities, further entrenching their status. So obviously you're going to look after your own children. That's what the idea here is. That's what the goal is. That's what all these ones are always doing. So they get the money when you're rich. And then they tell the poor, if you work hard, you'll get here too. But it's given me a direct reference. So if anybody wants to look that up and find out more about that, that's in it. So now it's mentioned. ChatGPT has mentioned the World Economics Forum's report on social mobility. Social mobility, in my mind, is you can move around, having more options, opportunities, travel, network, whatever you want to call it, okay? Reveals that those born into wealth have significantly more opportunities, while those born into poverty struggle to escape their socioeconomic conditions. Community, because there isn't one. It's enforcement. It's treated in gang warfare. It's creating structures that social interactions with people that too many people, and I don't mean like we're overpopulated. I just mean like the interactions are not positive. They're not needed most of the time. Um, Reinforcing a quasi-caste system in a modern capitalist societies. Now you have to remember this is the one choice versus lack of control in our reality that I've asked, and that's an economic report. That's sobering, that thought, if you think about that for a minute. The next one is 2. Brutal competition versus meritocracy. This is the one the poor and us poor-minded and poverty and financially destitute people always run to. Meritocracy. I love it when they run to this. Every single time you run to this here going, oh, well, if you work hard, then you can get... No, you don't. No, you don't. Because it's based on the other person deciding what your value is worth. Not you deciding. You put the price on the product, whatever it may be, or the service. But it doesn't mean that they're actually going to buy it. I could sit here and say my service is worth £1,000 an hour, $1,000 an hour. Doesn't mean anyone's actually going to pay for it. That's called consultation. There's a whole in the gaming industry, just to bring it back to what I do most of the time anyway, is that there's a company called Sweet Baby Inc. At the minute. They're constantly destroying the whole thing because a lot of kids came through the social studies in the education system, and they have no skills whatsoever, and that's what they were basically taught, and the only thing that they're left with now. So now we've got this whole job structure around people trying to figure out what somebody else is, like an animal. I don't know. So I'm not going to, like, here we are. So the current reality, in contrast to the dystopian survival of the fittest job hunt, capitalist societies generally promote meritocracy. The belief that hard work, talent and education lead to success. Now here's another one I like to say as well. See, if you have 100 qualifications or certifications of whatever subject you may be, psychologist, scientist, engineer, see if you have 100 million of them, it has no relevance to me. No relevance. When all I want you to do is pick up the fries and put them in the bag. I don't care. That person does not give a damn how many qualifications and certifications you have, right? And they will employ you if you are, say it was engineering, and you get picked up, and you have 100,000 different qualifications in engineering. They're going to turn around and lowball you. They're going to turn around and go, will you work for the minimum? It's no relevance to them how many qualifications. They want to get the most out of you for your personal success and your personal work and your personal talents and abilities and mental strengths, or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, mental or physical. You could be a personal trainer for, as well. It makes no difference. However, this notion of meritocracy is increasingly criticised. Yeah, what a shocker. Critics argue that wealth inequality undermines this ideal because the wealthy can afford better education, health care, and networking opportunities. Like I just said, networking opportunities. What was it? It worded it as knowledge of social networks. That's what it called it. Social networks, networking opportunities, giving them an inherent advantage over others. Yeah, well, Family Guy pointed that out a lot about your, what do you call him? Piketty, is it? No, it's not Thomas Piketty. What do you call the dad? Lois's dad. Can't remember his name. And he had the cure. And he says it's better to sell it to people than actually give it to them. So, counter argument is Thomas Piketty. In his seminal work, Capital in the 21st Century, highlights how economic systems have historically favoured capital over labour. Yep, capital over labour, whatever you own. He argues that wealth accumulation for the rich is often self-perpetuating due to the power of inheritance and capital gains. That, no, not like that hasn't been mentioned, which leads to widening inequality over time. I've actually seen that. I wanted to get that book Thomas Piketty wrote. That's a reminder there, so it is. Capital gains in which to widening inequality leads to widening inequality over time. I got it was a different book called The End of Work and another one called Engineering and the Pricing System, which was recommended by a guy called Jack Fresco, who does the Venus Project. That's a side thing anyway. So when I was looking at this here, I found this here and I watched his interview. There is an interview on YouTube that he's done. It's pretty good, and he tries to explain it to the dumb-minded and the slow-minded employee mindset, if you want to say. This means that competition for jobs and wealth is rigged in favour of those who already hold assets, like I just said. This means that competition for jobs and wealth is rigged in favour of those who already hold the assets, whether that be a building, a house, an office building, a house, cars, businesses, whatever it may be, making upward mobility difficult for lower income individuals. The Harvard economist is that Raj Shetty's research on social mobility also shows that the American dream of meritocratic upward mobility is largely a myth, especially for people of colour and those born into poverty. Now, they have been saying about, I have noticed, because I can relate to those people that in the 80s, again, 60s, 70s, 80s. In fact, if anything, Muhammad Ali tried to point that out. I'll say that. And in this way, we see echoes of dystopian fears of a rigged system favouring an elite class. And that was a Harvard economist. I don't know when he said it. There's Thomas Piketty said as well. That's another reference in reality, and another reference. And I don't know how many times people need to say this, and how long ago they said it, or how recently they said it, or how many times they need to say it. Surveillance versus self-surveillance. This is the best one. This is genius, this one. Because people surveil each other, making the other person, you know, I'm watching you, but I'm not watching you. So, current reality, we are not subject to government-controlled surveillance as a dystopian world, but we do live in an era of digital self-surveillance. So again, I'm sitting doing it right now. Social media platforms, job application tracking, and data mining algorithms used by employers are increasingly influencing hiring processes. It's just said it again, AI. Digital footprints, including LinkedIn profiles, social media activities, and personal data, are routinely scrutinized by companies during recruitment. They want the best for the minimum cost of capital, money. Current argument, scholars such as, now give me a chance to actually say this name, Shoshana Zuboff, if that's correct. I do apologise for that, but because I know what it's like with names. In the age of surveillance capitalism, argue that corporations, especially tech companies, hint hint, have unprecedented power to shape behaviour by collecting and analysing personal data. This data often determines hiring decisions, credit scores, and even access to housing. While less authoritarian, the digital economy can still foster exclusion and reinforce economic divides. It's already happening. I'm going to check my live here. Make sure we're all good. Networking opportunities, giving them an inherent advantage. Right. So here we go. Back to this. They're trying to, those in the the upper class of society that think that they own everything, while it's us, it's watching each other and make, as I said, it's not about me, it's not about you, it's not about the next person. It just goes on in a network system that everybody's watching everybody and nobody's watching anybody, like the Cold War. And these people are deciding whether we're going to have digital passports, whether we're going to have digital IDs, whether we're going to make each other do what we don't want to do. And when somebody turns around and says, no, they can't do that, well, they're already doing it. It doesn't matter if they can't do it. They will do it, and they can do it, and they're going to do it. Is this the last one? No, there's two more, and then the conclusion. So, onto the elite class and the wealth accumulation. Our current reality, there is ongoing debate around the existence and perpetuation of an elite or wealthy class structure. One theory posits that wealth exists as a result of the invention of money and financial systems. Yeah, because what else are we going to use? That's the question. The question is, if money was not in existence, what else are we going to use? And the only solution that I can come up with is the Venus Project. But it's going to be very difficult for people to transition from this greed and corruption to a society where we're actually going to be on a planet that we actually help each other. Because it was, in my mind, it was not designed. We are not here for the benefit of ourselves. We're like sheep. And when we are sheep, we are cattle. And when we are cattle, we are being used for something else of a bigger picture or agenda, as far as I'm concerned. Make what you will of that, but that's what I believe. You can search the whole cage your whole life and realize that and come to the conclusion that there isn't a cage, when the cage could be in your mind, or it could be that your life itself had no purpose or whatever. Anyway, invention of money and financial systems, which allow the rich to accumulate and protect their wealth. The more we work for them, the more money they make. The more money they make, the bigger the more cars they have, the more yachts they have, the harder you work. That's how this is designed. Without money or these structures, some argue society would be more egalitarian. I'm really making a mess of that name. I'm not even going to pronounce it again, but there's it there anyway. Egalitarian. The counter-argument to this is theories like Karl Marx. Oh great, here we go. Critic of the of capitalism argument, or argue that ruling class, how do you even pronounce that? I'm going to put this in here and get this pronunciation out properly. No, it's not going to do it, is it? Search. No, it's taking its time. Right. Let's hear this word.
Bourgeoisie.
Bourgeoisie. The middle class, typically the reference to its perceived materialistic values or conventional attitudes. That's some word. Proletarian, eh? No, because proletarian is a worker. Controls the means of production, allowing them to exploit labour to accumulate wealth. In this view, money is inherently the problem. There you go. Right there in front of you in black and white. But the capitalist system creates inequality by concentrating wealth among those who control capital. The land, the buildings, the cars, the planes, whatever it may be, the food. Marx's theory of surplus value asserts that the labour of workers creates value. There you go. So that's what I was saying about the farmers. The farmers make the food, they get restricted, so they don't feed everybody, so they keeps everybody in survival. They can make plenty of food, it's just they're restricted from doing it because they're put into debt and crushed by the whole financial system on purpose, regulations and policies. But this value is appropriated by capitalists, allowing the wealthy wealth while workers are paid less. Yep, what a shocker! We're paid less than the value they generate. Yeah, how many times has this been said on YouTube or TikTok or whatever is happening right now? The collapse of society, or whatever you want to call it, that nobody wants to listen to because we're all afraid. Piketty's work, Thomas Piketty, expands on this, showing that the rate of return on capital investments, real estate, etc., is historically higher than the rate of economic growth. That's why I always go back to the 60s, 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. See, for 40 years, we had a decent economic growth, but especially after the war. And every time there always has to be a collapse of a war or a problem or whatever it may be. At the minute, it's the climate they keep saying about. Oh, the tornadoes and stuff and all, and nobody. Look what's happening there. Is anybody going out of their way to help those in New Zealand? What happened to them? Financially, and I mean actually rebuilding, financing those people and getting them back on their feet. No. The same as what happened with the tornadoes. The same as what happened with the tsunami. The same as it just keeps going on and on. The wars, whatever. Meaning those with the capital, the wealthy, can contribute to or can continue to grow their wealth, while wages for the working class stagnate. They've been stagnating for what? Again, at least 30 years now. Moreover, research by organisations like Oxfam highlights that the world's wealthiest individuals and corporations wield disproportionate influence over governments' policies, shaping laws and tax codes in their favour. This leads to the entrenchment of an elite class despite the existence of democratic systems. So even the rich are turning around and saying that the democratic system doesn't work. You hear that all the time. Last one, black market versus the gig economy is no different. This is a different way of saying it than the way I viewed it, but it looks exactly the same to me now when it's stated like this. Number 5, the current reality, instead of illegal work or black markets, modern economies have seen the rise of the gig economy. Platforms like Uber, DoorDash, and freelance job sites have made it easier for people to find work, but often without the protections or benefits associated with traditional employment. This flexibility is sometimes seen as an escape from the formal labour market, but it often lacks stability and security. That's the way it's meant to be. The counter-argument to this is scholars like Guy Standing discuss the rise of the bureaucrat. Is that bureaucrat? I'm just going to put it into Google and find out. Paste. How do you pronounce that? What does it say? A social class of people who lack employment and income security and experience precarity, which is a state of existence without predictability or security. Pronunciation. Where's it there? Pronunciation. You can't even get the word to pronounce. Like, what? It's that bad, you can't even get Google to pronounce this word. I have to go onto YouTube. Technically, that is Google, so.
Precariat.
What?
Precariat.
Precariat? Right, precariat. A new social class that lives with precarious work conditions. Damn. No job security. Is that the NEET class? No, because they're not in anything. No job security and limited access to social protections. This is a stark contrast to the stable full-time employment of the past. The gig economy has parallels to the dystopian underground economy. Parallels! Damn, I can't stress that enough. Where workers must take what they can get, often at the expense of their rights and well-being. You work in the field whether you like it or not. Conclusion. Yes, I've always said this here. Everyone's forgot about the word indentured servitude. They went from being slaves to you'll get paid when we decide you get paid, and that's called indentured servitude, which is called these days a contract. And they'll decide. Conclusion. While our current society offers more choice and less overt authoritarian control, overt, covert, whatever way you want to say it, control than a dystopian system, the reality of the economic and class structures reveals significant disparities in opportunity. There you go. Significant disparities in opportunity. The wealthy are able to use their resources to maintain and grow their advantage, often at the expense of the lower classes. Okay? So, it's said right there, the lower classes, a class system. We are all being used, including myself. We're all in it. And when you see them sitting up there, Elon Musk or Trump or whoever it may be, they're just using this system to their best advantage. That's why they're wealthy. That's why Elon Musk is able to buy. How much did he buy Twitter for? That it's an internet system that doesn't even exist in reality, but everyone sits and talks on it. Or like, I don't see anyone going out to buy Google. I don't see anyone defending the ad blockers of these people. I don't see any of them. What other things is there? There's Henry Cavill trying to do the whole Warhammer thing. He's getting pushed around by Amazon at the minute. Jeff Bezos or whatever. Then why doesn't he say something? You know, he could turn around and go, no, I'll just change that for you. No, he won't. Because it benefits each individual, and even at that higher level, like I've always thought, at higher level, they don't like each other either. That's in my mind anyway, but the idea that money exists to perpetuate the rich is reflected in modern economic theories that critique how capitalism, wealth, inheritance drive inequality. However, this doesn't translate into a full dystopian environment. Many still achieve upward mobility through the system is not as fair as meritocracy might suggest. There you go. Leave it on a positive note, eh? I think that sums up everything in our society that we currently have in the work environment, the employment, recruitment, societal structures, class systems, financial opportunities that you can imagine. That's you could say that's my view, but it's right there in front of you. ChatGPT, read over it yourself, do your own video, whatever, because nobody cares. This has been going on. In fact, if anything, if you make your own video, this is the best bit of it. If you make your own video, you do your own thing, or you comment about it, or whatever, that's what it's all about. It's to cause more. This has been going on for 20 years. YouTube has developed from arguments and debates and problems that don't get solved. They don't go anywhere. This doesn't go anywhere. This is just me ranting about a system that we have created for ourselves as a prison, financially, and we've been educated in a way. To me, it's inherited knowledge that's been passed down that we have to live like this. This is this is the way it is. This is the way it has to be. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be anything like this. Nobody, anytime you read any of the comments that I read about job searching or working or whatever, and all I see is people going, I just want to live my best life. I just want to be left alone. Why is these people constantly on your back about you have to pay to keep a roof over your head? To eat. To eat! Nobody cares. Right. Good luck with that.